Good morning. Thank you so much for joining to this conference today. Today we're going to talk about my esencia. Mi esencia es mi valor. And this is a part of a larger quality research that I had developed with 25 Latinas in the state of Missouri. So we're going to see about the essence and courage portraitures of Hispanic women Latinas navigating higher education institutions. So welcome to be on our new online presentation. This is so new, and I'm so thankful that Cambio de Colores is allowing us to do it this way. So the heart of this research, as I said earlier, is part of a larger qualitative phenomenological study which investigated 25 Hispanic women Latinas' perception about their opportunities for leadership, and is an example of the analysis of experts of interviews that my participants, share with me. So this analysis illustrates the essential aspects of participants' conscientiousness, courage, resilience, and the importance of maintaining their identity regardless of barriers, myths, or inaccurate resources given. So whenever you draw a portraiture and research based on livelihood research, she divides it into 5 aspects. So it's context, voice, relationship, emergent themes, and aesthetic as a whole, and because Latinas, Latinas in general, we are so panthenic. We come from different cultures, we had speak different languages, so this is the reason that it's important to do a research or portraiture. So I'm going to explain what is the reason that I decided to write this article here shortly. So first, what is a portraiture? So the objective of portraiture is to capture the essence of the subject, is implicitly a quest for a foundational and a stable truth, and is the method by the tradition and values of a phenomenological paradigm, sharing in the relationship between artist and the subject about the perspective of the person whose image in essence is being captured by Lawrence Lightfoot and Hoffman. This is what we're going to be working on. So I'm moving my screen because it seems like the PowerPoint is in one side and I don't want my image to be on the way of you seeing the PowerPoint. So the context of this research, it is because there were only Hispanic women, Latinas, Mexican American, bilingual women of color working in the department in college. That was me. That is the reason that this research came to part. And so my research, I also did it, with journal of observations and descriptions from pre and after interview, and I have a personal connection, so it went snowballing. So one person would say, there's a Latina on this department, so you need to go and meet her, and so that's what I did. And it just became a blessing, and that's how 25 of them came to be part of it. So now the context of this research, it is, like I mentioned earlier, is a qualitative research. There were 25 participants. There were 24 plus, including my voice as a standpoint research. And also it was just in the state of Missouri. There were 5 universities being part of this research. So what is really, when you do a portrait research, what is all of this about? Well, you need to be listening for a story rather than to a story is the heart of the process. And it becomes something like this. So when Latinas started to tell me about their life in a story, they were painting in my mind their life. They were coming from this little place or big, large city, and their words were very descriptive of how they were sharing each one of how they were raised and how their family just taught them ethics and how to work with other people, familiarismo, and life. So it became so colorful to the point that I was able to draw their lives into this portraiture research, because they were so passionate what they did, what their family taught them, the food that that they ate, and that we all enjoy. So it was so nice how they could draw their life to us. So that is part of a portraiture. So the relationship, so portraits are constructed, shaped, and drawn through the development and relationship. And all the processes of portraits require that we build productive and healthy relationships. So how do you do these relationships? Through connection. Well, relationship experiences go through connection, which requires to give attention, empathy, trust, and intimacy to the participants. So when this research started, there were emergent themes, just like a portraiture requires, and they came out to 29 themes, which it was very difficult to put them into a dissertation or all together in a article. So this is the reason that now I'm taking pieces and I'm alienating to this so complex, multifaceted environment or life of Latinas. So the portraitress, which is the researcher, gathers, organizes, and creates a thematic framework. So it is very disciplined. You start with empirical process and interpretation, analysis, and synthesize. And we had to be very discreet and not overlapping information. So whenever it talks about aesthetic as a whole, is that we deal with each element separately. So that is the reason that now I am doing, bilingualism, because Latinas, we are bilingual, some of us, and how that plays as an important part in higher education. And then we have, different aspects. So that's how I am dealing with each one of the themes. So we treat element as a larger whole, and then we blend this information with the art and science analysis and description of interpretation. So through this very complex information that was shared with me during this time of research, I was blessed to have Dr. Siemens in my research committee, and we were able with Dr. Lisa Donner to put together this leadership domain to try to make sense and to find the essence of the Latinas. So this leadership domain started to, put on this Van Damme circle, how we are interconnected with all of these pieces and how they were barriers. So the barriers enter into two central themes, specifically to those with identity. So the interactions between racial, ethnic, self-identification, social perception, and gender. And then we have the systematic themes, the institutional level efforts and the lack of recruitment, retention, and promotion processes, and resources that we found to have included, personal, family, and spirituality, and structural mentoring and scholarship support. So we as Latinas, we have the interpersonal, the dialogue, intrapersonal, and the cognitive, and all of that actually it divides into so many pieces because we are so complex, and unfortunately they try into boxes, right? So that is what a portraiture does, a portraitress does, to try to analyze and to try to find the essence in each one of those areas and to try to draw with words the best that is possible. So I'm going to give you some of the voices that we're giving, because for me it is very important how they were painting all their experiences and they became so meaningful to me. So for example, in the interpersonal and the social perception, Juana Maria said, this girl looked at me and asked, what race do you belong to? at that very moment, I had the France Fanon experience in Paris. And I was made to feel that I was different. And I didn't know that I was different. Christina said, people in general don't understand the complexity, the way it means to be Latino or Latina. We have indigenous roots. We have African ancestry. Ethnicity is also important to understand, blending your identity within those binaries as well. So, Queen, I'm just going to jump here in a little bit. She said, why Hispanic as me do not want to recognize they are put in the brown category, especially Argentinians. And so they were sharing, painting their story this way with me. And I was able to start putting all this information into research. So in the intrapersonal, Irma said, I grew up in a family with people who actually had this vocation, for teaching. Now I do early childhood policy work. She said, my dad was always interested in migration, even as a psychiatrist at a public hospital in Peru. He was always studying the mental health of immigrants to big cities and got me into helping him do statistics of his surveys. That got me more interested in figuring out what I wanted to do. So when they start doing this painting or doing those strokes with their words, it is easier for a researcher, studying Latinas, to find the essence. So in the interpersonal, because we don't have that much time, so I'm just going to read one of each one of their voices. So in this case, it says, book Guadalupe Turtle and Yo. She said, my Lord and Savior, in knowing it has helping me that he listens and strengthens me, I will not be able to accomplish what I have done this far. So in the dialogue, she said, Karina, she said, used to write with my advisor. My advisor was very open. Everybody will work quite independently. I will write my part. He will review, but it was pretty much my work. I will publish with him. When I moved back to Argentina, suddenly everybody was questioning my English. They should have manuscript checked by a native English speaker that will say, all comments are saying, or these people can write, or you people cannot write correct English. So in the cognitive, Lorena said, I came here with a full ride in Consciencia's scholarship when I arrived here. I didn't have high expectations. I thought at the end, what I need is a PhD title. So, what is important when you write a portraiture is that you recognize the essence. And in this case, the essence of the Latinas was their courage. So the courage of moving forward, one step at a time, visioning the goals as completed, and most of anything, self-care. So how do you create a study that is both authentic, evocative, coded, and colorful? Well, Lawrence Lightfoot and Hoffman, they said that you need to pay attention to what is the essence of your participants. And you slowly start painting a picture of your participant, finding their essence. So I would like to leave this with you. This is very important, especially nowadays. Remember, as a researcher and as an individual, doesn't matter the situation that you are going through or what you face in your organization. Your essence is your courage. And if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to send me emails to daisybcollins@missouriState.edu. Your questions or suggestions, they are very much appreciated. Thank you so much for being part of this presentation today.